Howdy folks, John here from rchelicopterfun.com. Got a really fun little video here for you hopefully today. We're going to be looking at the Esky 150 V2 micro fixed pitched RC helicopter. This was supplied by Zonda Hobby, and I just want to take a moment to thank them for sending it to me to do a review on. I really wanted to get my hands on one of these little guys. These are touted by many to be probably the best micro heli on the market right now, micro fixed pitched. For the price, you can pick them up for anywhere between about 65, 70 bucks. And considering the technology in this thing and how well it works, you know, just a few years ago, a similar heli would have been, you know, $160. So that just shows you the value in this thing. So we're just going to be doing a quick unboxing. I'm going to get the battery charging up. We're going to look at the helicopter itself, look at some of the very cool design features in it, and then once the battery's charged, we'll go for a flight and I'll give you some feedback on what I think of it. If you're a beginner getting into the hobby, this is certainly one to consider. It's got the CC3D stabilization system or flight control system. I'm going to call it a flybarless system. This is a helicopter, but these are really popular in the micro quad world. And that's, you know, they've got the 3 sensors, the 6 gyros, 6 accelerometers, and that's what makes this thing apparently as stable as a micro coaxial. So you could, you know, you could forgo the micro coaxial route, get onto one of these, and really give you the skills required to get into collective pitch then. But anyways, let's get into this thing. So it comes in a nice little box. And nicely packaged. The radio or transmitter is underneath. You know, it's not a high quality radio for sure, but you know, again, consider the price. So Zonda Hobby sent a little support card. You can email them if you've got any issues with the helicopter. And the heli itself, again, nice little micro. Actually, it weighs a bit. They're calling this the 150, but the blade length I believe is about 70 millimeters. So if you want to size this by blade length, this would be a 70 size micro heli. What else do we have in here? This appears to be the battery. Let's get a knife. So we'll get that charging right away. So it's just a little single cell 150 milliamp hour. And it's just got one of those little micro pico plugs on the end. Pretty standard for a pack like this. Here's the little USB charger that comes with it. So we'll get this charging right away. Okay, so green light's on when it's powered up. And we'll just plug this in. Polarity right, hopefully. There we go. And when it's charging, the red light is, or the green light turns to red. So we'll just put that aside. What else do we have in here? I think we're going to have to get, okay, so it doesn't look like it comes with any AA batteries. So we're going to have to get some AA batteries. There's a little micro USB port here. Don't know what that's for. I believe it's for factory programming, so I don't think that's anything you can do. As far as the radio, so you've got your, this is a mode 2, there's our throttle, rudder, forward aft cyclic, left right cyclic, or if you want to call it aileron and elevator. Digital trims, feel pretty decent, very light. And then this up here is the mode button to switch between full really beginner mode where it adds some dual rate so you don't get nearly the fast reactions that you would when you take it off. You're ready to go more aggressive. What else do we have in here? Got a nice spare set of little blades that come with it. It's kind of neat that they've got the yellow and the red. You could supposedly track that. If you don't know anything about blade tracking, it's just how when these are spinning, how much lift they're creating. On these fixed pitch ones, you can't really adjust it. I've on occasion, if it's really out, you can heat the blade up slightly and twist it to give it more or less lift. I wouldn't recommend doing that though. I'm sure these are really good right off the bench. And what else do we have in here? That's pretty much it. And then you get a manual starting right off the start telling you to charge the LiPo, which we've already done. And then just goes over the controls and everything. Let's have a look inside this helicopter, because that's what's so cool about this. It's got a really neat design feature here. You'll notice the blades, they're really loose in the blade grips, and that's what you want on a micro. You want them loose like that so they can lead and lag properly. It keeps the head dynamically balanced as it's flying. Just a polycarbonate body. There's two little rubber grommets that you pop off the little pins. Pretty standard to get the canopy off. It's nice, the canopy's got these little cutouts in the bottom that fit around the front landing struts. And it's also got these two little holes cut out on either side. And that's so you can see these LED indicators that are on the front of the circuit board, which is in this nice plastic housing. And that's part of why I like this design so much. It's a really neat architecture. Every component is integral into the frame. Gives it lots of strength while keeping the weight down. And here's an exploded parts view to give you a better idea of how this is working. So you've got the front control board that's contained in this hard plastic shell. That makes up the front part of the frame substructure. Then you've got this middle part, which it's housing the bearings and the motor. And then the rear part are your two linear servos that bolt onto the back. So, and once that's all bolted together, it makes it really rigid and strong. So a great way to do it. The very cool design feature on this is having the swash plate in the middle, nice and protected there. On stuff like what I've been used to, all the micros, they've got the swash plate on the top, and that's the traditional place for them. But in a crash, these are easy to bust up. Whereas when it's protected like this, it's much less likely to happen that you'll break anything. And it's really sandwiched in there nice. Two little coreless motors on your linear servos. Okay, so this would give you your forward and backward pitch and your left and right. Standard cordless motor, brushed cordless motor driving the main gear here at the bottom. It's nice to see it's actually a metal shaft. Okay, it's not carbon fiber. Carbon fiber shafts on micros, they tend to split. I kind of like seeing that metal shaft. And again, it's a neat design having that swash in the middle. You've got your two control push rods going up to your blade grips. They're coming right through the head here. Hopefully that's focusing and you can see that. But and then they go up to the blade grip arms, kind of DFC style. As your head is turning, it's using the push rods that go through the center mast. That's what keeps the top of the swash phased with the head. So great design, really stiff tail boom. It's angled up a little bit, which is a neat touch. Stiff tail fin. Looks like it's made out of fiberglass. And tail motor is nicely protected with this plastic protector around it. That used to be a problem with a lot of these things. Ooh, here's something really neat. I never noticed that before or knew about it. There's two little LEDs, surface mount LEDs on the top of the tail fin. So obviously it's got lights on the tail fin as well, which is pretty cool. I can't wait to see what that looks like. So that's the helicopter itself. And then of course you get this spare set of blades, and in here looks like our battery's charged up already. And there's a little Velcro. So you've got a spare set of blades, and then there's these two little pins, and those are spare canopy mounting pins. So if you ever bust these mounting pins for the canopy, you've got two spares, and then it's got just the little Velcro for your battery. And it looks like there's already a Velcro on here to stick the battery onto. And one thing I would suggest is getting these little rubber grommets over these pins can sometimes be a pain. They're usually pretty stiff. What I like doing is taking a little bit of silicone grease or silicone oil and just putting a dab on those pins, and it'll help it slide into those grommets a lot easier, and just makes pulling the canopy on and off easier. That is the one thing, you do have to remove the canopy to replace the battery. Some people will find that a drag. So I'm just going to get the batteries going. I'm going to get some AA's for this thing, and we'll power it up. Got our batteries, so we'll just plug those into the radio here real quick. Our 4 AA's. I'll just see if the radio turns on, or the transmitter. Here's the power button right here. You actually have to hold it in for a few seconds and it'll beep. There's a little blue indicator here that lights up to tell you the radio's turned on. I can see a lot of people forgetting the radio's turned on and the battery's going dead. And then to turn it off, you just hold the button again until it beeps. This is Esky's 2.4 gigahertz protocol, spread spectrum protocol. What do they call it? AHSS. Our LiPo is charged up. The LED changes back to green when it's fully charged. So we'll just unplug that. Yeah, so we'll just get our fuzzy Velcro put on the battery here. So you just put it on the battery back, center it roughly like so. Out of the box, these little rascals should come pre-bound. All that means is that the receiver in the helicopter and the radio, they both recognize their own unique identification code. So they'll only talk or listen to each other. The normal power-up sequence is very simple. You would power up the transmitter first, blue indicator comes on, then you would plug in the helicopter. So I'm just going to plug this in. And there's a couple LEDs here that we should look at. So we'll see this blue one flashing fast. So as long as that's flashing fast, don't move the helicopter at all. That means the gyros are going through their initialization phase. They're finding their centers, you know, making sure everything's working correctly. Now you'll see on this side here, the green LED is lit solid. That means it's communicating with the radio fine. And if we were to shut off the radio, green LED goes out, meaning it lost radio communication. So out of the box, that's what you should get. You should be all raring to go. All ready to go. There should be no reason to bind it. Now, if for whatever reason you did all that and you plugged it in and the LED is not lit, you're going to have to bind the helicopter to the radio. Procedure is very simple. Instead of turning the radio on first, we will plug the helicopter in first. Okay, so I'll plug that in. Now you see the green light isn't lit. It should start flashing fast. Okay, LED is flashing fast. It's in bind mode. To put the radio in bind mode, we push the rudder trim to the right, hold it as we hold in the power button, and once that goes solid green, it's bound. Super simple. And as you can see, we've got movement on our swash plate. I'm just going to put the battery in its Velcro here. And if you want to confirm the swash plate is moving correctly, just watch it as you're moving your cyclic stick. So here we're moving forwards and backwards cyclic, or forwards and backwards elevator if you want to call it that. So stick's forwards, swash plate is tilting forward, stick is back, swash is tilting backwards, and left and right cyclic. We go right, swash tilts right, go left, swash to left. If you're wondering how gyro stabilization works on a helicopter, if you're new to this, the gyros are picking up any movement and they're imparting opposite movement to the swash plate to correct for it. So if we were to move the helicopter forward, you'll see the swash plate tilt backwards. Move the heli back, swash plate tilts forward. Tilt the heli to the right, swash tilts to the left. Tilt the heli to the left, swash tilts right. And that's how it stabilizes it. You know, anytime the heli is drifting, the swash plate moves in the opposite direction to bring it back into hover equilibrium. The only other thing I should note on this before we go flying is it's got a safety arm procedure. Unlike a lot of helicopters that you're probably familiar with, it won't spool up right off the bat. You have to arm the ESC a special way. It's kind of like quad rotors in that respect. So this one you have to hold the rudder stick over to the right for 3 seconds, and that allows the ESC to arm, and then you can throttle up. And you can watch the blue LED for that. As you hold it over, it'll start flashing fast. And then once it stops flashing, you know the ESC is armed, and you can throttle up. And if you did land, as long as you throttle up again within 10 seconds, you won't have to go through that, that rearming procedure. It's go time. So I'm just going to take it off, see how it is for trim off the bat. So I've got to hold in the rudder for 3 seconds. See if it arms up here. There we go. Oh, that little red tail light is awesome. So I'm just going to zoom out. Let me just land it. It looks like it's in pretty good trim though. The telltale sign if this thing is actually stable is if I can film this thing while flying it. And that is hands off. Just give it a little extra power here. Bring it back up. So definitely, it's not quite as stable as a coaxial, but it is hands off. It's definitely a hands off flight experience. Okay, let's get you back in, but reactive. I think if I was to program this, if I was to set it up with a an actual computerized radio, that was to bind it to one, yeah, I'd reduce the cyclic a bit on it for a beginner. So if this was for a child, probably a little too aggressive. Depends on the child's ability, but really smooth. It is reactive. So this is in tame down mode too. This is with dual rates turned on. Here's the pirouette rate, if you're wondering what that's about. Let's just bring it a little closer here to the camera. So as you can see, it's not drifting out, but the pirouette rate isn't dizzying or anything. But as you know, this is a beginner machine, so you don't want a fast yaw rate. Now as far as, so this is, that's kind of giving you an idea of how reactive the cyclic is. This is with dual rate turned on. We're going to push that button, you'll hear it beep twice. Now it's in reactive mode, or dual rates turned off. Definitely more reactive. Now it's feeling like an MSR. Yaw rate isn't any quicker. Oh, I love that red tail. I love that tail light. It's the best. I should mention the stick feel is really nice. The throttle is buttery smooth. It is. You know, for a cheapy little radio, not too bad at all. What else should I? Yeah, you know, if you could put training gear on this, probably a good idea if you're just learning. I would certainly recommend it. Training gear is great on micros because they allow you to see which way the helicopter's tilted. And I could probably trim this out a little bit better, but that is hands off. But really smooth, like it is. I'm impressed. I'm not big into micros, but I definitely, this is a great, to me, this would be the ideal situation for someone beginning. You could forgo the coaxial. Oh, that green light is blinking, that means the battery's getting low. So I'm going to land it, but I'm just going to give you my thoughts. We'll go back to the bench. Let's wrap this up real quick. As I said when I was landing this, I feel you could totally forgo a micro coaxial, get this, and then go right into collective pitch. To me, there shouldn't be any other steps required. You don't have to waste your money on anything else. This is low cost, 65 bucks. You can even find out if you like the hobby or not. And if you don't like it, well, you haven't lost much. If you find you're really enjoying it, then you could go, once you've got this mastered, you know, I personally feel you could go right into a 450 size collective pitch machine, tame it right down for learning on. All the skills you learn on this are going to be directly applicable to a collective pitch machine. At that time you can get a better radio. As far as the radio on this thing goes, for a toy, it's decent. There's no slop or anything in the sticks. The sticks are nice and smooth. Trims are solid. The dual rate button, I'd kind of like to see a toggle there so you could tell when you're in low or high rate, but what are you going to do? It's a $65 kit here. The helicopter itself, love how strong it is, built like a little brick. The stability is amazing. It flies nicely. It's not overly powerful, which is perfect for beginners. You know, if you jam the collective stick up, it's not going to rocket into the rafters. The yaw rate isn't blistering quick, but again, for learning to fly, you don't want that. That yaw rate was plenty quick enough. As far as cons go, not a big fan of the color. Hey, that's subjective. You could always get the older canopy, which is red and black, or you could get blades yellow and black. Their 70S canopy, same helicopter, just branded different. I personally like yellow and black the best on micros. Easiest to see at a distance, and this little guy gets small fast because it can fly so quickly. To me, I would like to see the dual rates tamed down even more in the beginner mode, what they call it. To me, it's still a little bit too reactive for most beginners learning. You're still going to be able to catch on to this in about 3-4 battery packs, though. I think most people will. And yeah, fit some training gear if it's an issue. Flight time, of course, is another down, but hey, it's a single rotor micro. What do you expect? Yeah, 5 minutes, you're doing pretty good on any of them. That's where a coaxial, micro coaxial, would be the superior choice for flight time. They're more efficient flyers. You know, all the lift or all the power is going to lift in the two rotors. There's no tail rotor using up power. So that's pretty much it. I want to thank Zonda Hobby again for sending this to me to do the review, and I'll link to them down in the description and up here in the little card doodad up at the top. So if you're thinking of getting one of these little micro fixed pitch helis, definitely check out the 150 V2 by Esky. I totally agree with everyone else that it's probably one of the best fixed pitch micros on the market right now, especially in this price range. Have a good one.